Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Milva, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is one half of Schmoes Know, Christian Harloff.
Ba weep, grana weep, nitty bon. That's right. I did it last week and it worked, so I'll do it again. How is it going, Movie Talk? Very excited to be back. I didn't burn the place down last time, so let me do it again. Very excited to be back on Movie Talk.
Also here, AMC's very own Alicia Malone.
I got no universal greeting for you, so I'm going to say Happy Friday.
Also here, writer for Den of Geek and Blaster, Don Kay.
They keep inviting me back for some reason, so here I am again. Nice to be back with everyone.
Well, later this year will mark the 15th anniversary of the cult classic sci-fi comedy Galaxy Quest. In a recent piece done by MTV on the film, the cast of the original film all say they're more than willing to do a sequel and that a draft for a sequel is actually in existence. Sam Rockwell is quoted as saying, "F yeah, a sequel would be amazing." Christian, do you think a Galaxy Quest sequel could ever happen, and would you want one?
Do I think it ever could happen? Yes. Do I want one? Not necessarily. And it's not because I didn't like the movie. I actually like the first one very much. I think it's a very fun film. It's one of those movies that you ask most people who have seen it, they say, that's a fun film. The other thing you never hear is, I can't wait for part 2. You never hear that. And it might be too long. And I also am curious, if they did release it, how much of the audience today would be rushing out, the demographic for most people who buy tickets are rushing out to see this part 2. And I just don't know if there's a market for it. It's not to say that it couldn't be a big hit if it came out. I just don't necessarily need it. But Alicia, what do you think?
Yeah, I love the first one too, but I don't know whether you can repeat the magic again. I do love that all the cast are on board for a sequel. They all really want it to happen. Sigourney Weaver says she still has her costume, but these days, Sam Rockwell since then has become a much bigger star. Galaxy Quest was made for $45 million. Now I think it would cost a lot more, and it didn't do that well at the box office, but I think the studio didn't really...
More of a cult thing, right?
Yeah, the studio didn't really know what to do with it. But the thing that I love about Galaxy Quest was it came out in 1999, and that's one of my favorite years for film, because you had Being John Malkovich, Fight Club, Magnolia, American Beauty, Eyes Wide Shut, and Galaxy Quest.
Yes, interesting. Don?
Yeah, I think there was a poll that they took recently, and I may be a little bit wrong on this, but that of fans' favorite Star Trek movies. And a movie that actually got pretty high up in the poll was Galaxy Quest, because everybody loved the fact that it was sort of very much a loving homage to Star Trek, more or less. And that's the thing, it was very much of its time. Galaxy Quest came out when Star Trek on TV was still a big presence. You still had the original series, people were still familiar with it. I think they were still making, they finished making the original cast movies a while back, but they had been making Next Generation movies. There was a Next Generation show. People still remember that. It was very much of its time because that particular era of Star Trek was still very much part of pop culture. Not so much now. Yeah. So I think it was of its time. I don't see that 15 years later you could recreate that same magic or even get that same sort of audience connection that I think a lot of people got to it at the time.
It'd be interesting also if they did decide to do this, if they played up more what happened and how much more has happened in the geek culture, even if they said it at Comic-Con or what had happened then from Comic-Con now. There are ways that they could do it and that we could all respond, but I agree with you, Don. I just don't know if it fits the same way it did back then, but who knows? Okay, Ashley, what do we got next?
A new trailer for the Guillermo del Toro-produced animated film, The Book of Life, has just hit the web. The Book of Life is the journey of Manolo, a young man who is torn between fulfilling the expectations of his family and following his heart. Before choosing which path to follow, he embarks on an incredible adventure that spans 3 fantastical worlds where he must face his greatest fears. Alicia, what did you think about the trailer for The Book of Life?
I loved it. I think it looks fantastic. It's so full of colour, so full of energy. I love that you can't really tell the star voices. They're not that distracting. The story looks great from what you can see. I like the idea of the 3 worlds being so different. And what I really love about this movie was I got to talk to the director, Jorge Gutierrez, I think that's how you pronounce it, at Comic-Con, and this is his dream. This is his passion project. He's been trying to make this movie for 14 years, and it was only when Guillermo stepped in as a producer that it really took off. So I love that it's his personal story, and that's finally getting out there.
And, I had a conversation recently with a friend of mine who asked me, he said, hey, do you think Del Toro is overrated? And his reasoning behind it was because if you look at some of his producing stuff that he's produced, hasn't been the best, and his hit movies, whether it be Pan's Labyrinth or the Hellboy series or whatnot, not these huge hits. The reason I don't think he's overrated at all is because when he gets attached to stuff like this, because even though this is not his directed piece, you still feel his stamp on it. You still feel the Del Toro feel as you're watching this trailer, and I enjoyed this trailer very much. I thought it had a very different, it looks different, it looks creative, it looks like they did this, like you said, Alicia, for the passion of the project. Not just to put out some animated film, not just to put out some just generic thing they're going to try to pull out dollars. It's something, whether it does business or not, they're artists that are working on stuff to get a new take on the animation. So I dug it. Don, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I actually just watched the trailer on my phone this morning on the way over here, and even on a little phone, I mean, the color like bursts out of that thing. It is so beautiful looking. It doesn't look like any other animated film that's out there. And I agree. When Guillermo del Toro gets behind something, he really gets behind something. He does pour his heart and soul into everything he's working on, whether he's producing it, directing it, and he's very passionate about this. So's the director, who I also was at a Q&A with a few weeks ago. And I think that you really feel that. I think there's some marketing challenges for the movie. I think that the trailer, there's been 2 trailers now. I think they're a little murky on what the plot is, and that may not connect to some people. And oddly enough, I think the title is really kind of a strange title. It doesn't really tell you what it's about. It almost sounds religious in a way. And so I think that, but that's just purely like marketing stuff.
Right.
So I hope the film does well, and I hope it's a good film, but I think they have some challenges ahead.
Like the Tree of Life.
Yeah, well, the marketing stuff should play into what we think about it as well, too. I agree with you, because it's a matter of going off my take on being refreshed to see stuff like this. It's not going to mean a lick of difference if you don't have good marketing behind it, because if nobody sees it, then less stuff like this will get created, you think, or get less of the mass will be able to see it.
Yeah.
So. All right, we've reached the portion of the show that is buy or sell. If you're not familiar with this segment, it's pretty easy. Ms. Mova is going to go over some other stories in the world of movie news, and then Don, myself, and Alicia will just say if we buy it or sell it. What is first, Ashley?
The upcoming James Franco, Seth Rogen comedy The Interview has just been moved from its October 10th release date to Christmas Day. Other films already opening on Christmas include Big Eyes, Hot Tub Time Machine 2, Into the Woods, Paddington, and Unbroken. Don, buy or sell this move to Christmas Day for The Interview?
I'm going to sell this because I think that it's a move that doesn't make sense to me. I was looking at their slot in October, and there was nothing there to compete with them. They're opening against, I think, The Judge, which is the Robert Downey Jr. drama, another drama called Addicted, and a Disney film, The Alexander and the Great Terrible, whatever.
Horrible,
It's
no
horrible,
good,
not good,
bad, terrible,
cataclysmic-ish day. Opening at Christmas, aside from the fact that you've got an enormously crowded schedule at Christmas, they're also opening directly against Hot Tub Time Machine 2, which I think is kind of the same audience in a way that might go see both films. So unless they need more time to finish the movie for some reason, I think it's not a great move for them to make to switch release dates.
I'm going to buy it. The reason I'm going to buy it is because I think that they're farther enough in the process where they probably have a really good take on what this movie is, and in regards to summer season is when you get the big blockbusters, and then Christmas around that time you get the big blockbusters as too, like movies that can really deliver in box office. I think they looked at this movie, I think whether it be some of the controversy or maybe the buzz behind it, whatever that might have been, and what the final product is. Maybe there's whoever has seen it thinks it's really funny, maybe it works, the star power is working, they think this could be a Christmas movie, and let's put it against like Hot Tub Time Machine. Maybe this will be the comedy of the season. It's a very interesting and strange choice of a Christmas movie for sure, but I don't know, I think it's a bold move, and I kind of like it. Alicia, what do you think?
I'm going to buy it as well. I think it's a heartwarming tale, perfect for Christmas. You know, perfect for families to go see. I'm joking. But I'm buying it because
Depends
it means...
on the families, I guess.
Yeah. I'm buying it because it means that they've got confidence in it. You know, they've already done some pre-screenings and they said they've got really good reaction from it. So they must think that it's got a shot against all those other titles at Christmas. And also Christmas is when people have their holidays, vacations, so people can go and see the movie and see Hot Tub Time Machine and everything else.
It's funny because originally I was going to sell it when I first heard the story, and then as I started thinking about it, it's just yeah, I think that just going off the same point is they know they have comedy power, box office power, at least with Seth Rogen, from what he's been doing lately. And then it's just, I have a funny feeling this is going to be the surprise hit, one of the funnier movies of the year, maybe right up there with 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Let's
Okay.
just hope that Kim Jong-un doesn't retaliate, because that would ruin Christmas.
What are they going to do? All right, Ashley, what do you got?
Universal Pictures and Imagine Entertainment have acquired the rights to Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles. The first installment, Interview with the Vampire, was made into a film in 1994 that starred Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, and The Queen of the Damned followed in 2002. There's no word yet on if Universal plans on picking up the story or if they plan to start by rebooting Interview with the Vampire. Brian Grazer will produce alongside Alex Kurtzman and Robert Orsi. Christian buyers sell Universal making more Anne Rice vampire films.
I'm going to sell it. I'm kind of vampired out. That's although I am really looking forward to the new Dracula. I thought that, and I wouldn't have been if that was a topic that came up in this buy or sell, that they were doing a new Dracula movie. I would have sold that. But the trailer for me got me on board, and I am very interested in that film. This, though, I enjoyed Interview with the Vampire. Queen of the Damned, not so much. This doesn't really interest me. I just don't care anymore, and I don't know if the audience is vampired out. I mean, yeah, I don't care. But Don, what do you think?
I'm selling too. I think this is a move to get into the either the shared universe or the franchise game. A series of books. She's got, I think Bryce has written like 14 books in this series, and you can do a whole shared universe thing. Bring in her witches and bring in her mummy if you want to. You can really go nuts. Interview with the Vampire, I still love to this day. I think it's a great film. Queen of the Damned, just a misfire. And so I just don't. I agree with you. Like, there's been so many vampire tales out there. There are more coming with Dracula, and there's always a bevy of vampire films. I just don't see this going forward, and I also don't get behind anything that Orsi and Kurtzman are involved with either.
But as much as vampires are out there so much, so are they. It's like they're doing everything. Orsi
They've got every job in Hollywood, don't they? And I thought that they'd split, but obviously not as producing partners.
They're everywhere. But it's this thing of going back to your earlier point and the earlier subjects was that in the 90s when that came out, that worked. There weren't all. Right now, we're in the superhero craze. We really are. We're in the superhero craze, and so a shared universe in the superhero world, and from what Marvel's doing, works really good. If it's just an attempt to grab the vampire culture and have as much as you want to take shots, everyone takes shots at Twilight, so allow me to take another one. They really hurt the vampire love from other people than just the Twilight fans. So. No more vampires. But Alicia, buy or sell?
Selling too. Vampires just refuse to die, don't they? At the box office, I've had enough of them. I did really love Interview with the Vampire. It was sexy and dark and gothic, but then Queen of the Damned was terrible. I'm not so much interested in all the other stories that she has. I think even her son has written an adapted screenplay that they're bringing in as well. I know Universal are collecting their monsters for their shared universe that they're doing, and I'm interested in that, but not so much the vampires.
I will say one more thing about that. Those guys, Orsi and Kurtzman again, have created that Magic Blood plot point that's come up in a lot of movies in the past year. This is going to give Magic Blood a whole new meaning.
Okay, Ashley, we got one more?
Yeah, well, speaking of Universal, the studio reportedly also has plans to make a feature film based on The Lonely Island. The Lonely Island is the musical trio that includes Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, and Jorma Taccone, who were featured on Saturday Night Live for many years. The film will be directed by Schaffer and Taccone. Alicia, buy or sell a Lonely Island movie?
Definitely buying this one. I love these guys. I love their absurd humor. I have their albums of I'm on a boat and like a boss. It's just so funny to me. And I love all their digital shorts on SNL. These guys are self-made. They taught themselves how to shoot. They taught themselves how to edit. They wrote all their skits. And I just cannot wait to see what they come up with in a movie. I also like that Judd Apatow is producing. I think that is a perfect combination.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. And it's absolutely, Apatow being on board to produce helps it for sure. But I'm also a fan of Lonely Island and what they've done, and I want Andy Samberg to have a hit film. I know that he's doing great with his show, and a lot of people love Hot Rod. It wasn't the one that I wanted him to go out the gates with. I think that he's extremely talented. He's one of my favorite comedians out there. the way that he has taken the new digital and for our generation and really played it into the comedy, and he really spoke to generation with Lazy Sunday and all and everything that D in a Box, all that stuff. So he's done so much, and these are his pals.
Yeah.
These are his buddies. He finally gets to do a movie with them. I think they'll do something special. They know, because those other two guys, I don't know their names on the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I think that Andy also wants to make sure that his friends are taken care of. He's that type of dude. They're going to work hard on this movie. They're going to try to do something that showcases all three of them, and hopefully all three of them, leave with some stardom. But Don, what do you think?
Well, I was going to sell this because the Saturday Night Live shared universe is one that I just have very little interest in.
Right next to vampires.
Yeah, right. The vampires are a little bit above. Very little interest in, very little knowledge of. But I will buy it based on you guys being so enthusiastic about it, especially when we were talking earlier. With one disclaimer that if I go and I don't like it, I'd like you to give me my money back.
That works. I will give you the ticket just so you can go and see it, because these guys have the first thing I would say for you is to go and look at some of the stuff that The Lonely Island has done, separate of Saturday Night Live, because they have done.
Like
they did,
Michael Bolton, Captain Jack Sparrow. That was so funny.
really funny. You know what they did is that they were like a hipper Weird Al Yankovic for what they did by doing with YouTube, and they really blew up YouTube. Andy Samberg utilized YouTube when it first came out in 2005. You couldn't get away from Lazy Sunday. That's why I was shocked when you said you hadn't seen it. It's a great video, and I'm excited to see what these guys do. All right, it is mailbag time. And if you don't know how mailbag works, we just take a bunch of questions from you guys over the past week, and Ashley will read them out and we'll answer them. And by the way, while we're doing that, why don't you guys submit some Twitter questions that we're going to try to answer live after we answer these questions here. So be nice to the Movinator. All right, Ashley, let's get to mailbag.
I like that, the Movinator. I like that.
Nice.
Huey Cox writes, "Hi AMC crew, could you see Chris Pratt take over the role in a new Disney Indiana Jones franchise? Love the show."
Well, this will allow me to plug my Instagram, because I posted a picture. There was another picture, though, if you go, I posted on my Instagram that of him as Indiana Jones, and it's less of him with that's like a goofy smile thing too, and that's the kind of reason that I would maybe almost not want to see it. But you see another picture of him, and he's got that look. He fits the look because that's like almost like half Community, half Star-Lord picture right there. When he gets himself in shape, he could do it. I still think Fassbender's the guy I'd like to see do it, because I think Fassbender can play the sarcasm and the fun, as well as the kind of brooding that what Indiana Jones can do. But I wouldn't be opposed to him doing it, because he delivered as Star-Lord. He really did. But Indiana Jones has less humor. He has humor, but less humor than the typical roles that Pratt has done. But that's my take. Alicia?
Yeah, Indiana Jones is also a lot smarter than some of the roles that he has played.
Right.
Not saying he can't do it. I think he would be a good choice if he went that way. Recently, when I interviewed him for Guardians, I asked him, Han Solo or Indiana Jones, who do you prefer? He said Indiana Jones. And Star-Lord definitely has shades of both. Indiana is just such an iconic character. I love how smart he is, and that's what I would love to see if Chris Pratt played him. Less goof, more brains.
Don?
I think he's got his own franchise now with Guardians. I like him there. I don't quite see him as Indiana Jones. I don't quite see anyone as Indiana Jones, frankly.
Hard.
I mean, it's hard for me. Fassbender, that's an interesting choice. But I'm actually okay with leaving Indiana Jones where he is for now, regardless of who they think of to play the role.
I'd prefer that, but
it's not
we don't
gonna
have a
happen.
choice.
It's not going to happen. Another reason that Pratt is probable is because it is Disney.
Yeah.
Disney does have the movie, and Disney has a pretty good relationship with him right now. So you never.
He's a star now.
He's a star. Fans responded to him, and he crushed it in Guardians of the Galaxy, and he was still a little goofy as Star-Lord, but still a believable badass.
And there were moments in Guardians, not giving anything away, so don't worry if you haven't seen it, where he does change from the goof to the serious.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, yeah, I see that. I
He
like
can make
that.
it work. That's why I say I'm not completely opposed to it, because I do think he can make it work, and I'd like to see him challenge himself a little more and maybe get away from the goofiness, because he started to get away from the goofiness a little bit in Star-Lord, but you needed it for Star-Lord as well.
Plus, we're going to see him in Jurassic World, which is a
Right.
huge adventure, and we don't know know what that role is yet, but I suspect it's probably going to be a little more further along the line of away from the goofiness, because there's not a ton of humor in those movies.
Right.
No, it's
So
scary.
they're scary. So we'll get a chance to see him there too.
Yeah, I love it. Regardless, it's nice to see his career kind of blossoming, because
Definitely.
who doesn't like
Such
this
a
guy?
nice guy.
Who doesn't like the guy? Even if you've never interviewed him, or if you're just watching him as a fan, the guy is a likable actor. Everything he's in, even when that movie Delivery Man he was in.
Yeah, he
You
can
watch-
rap as Eminem. Like, he's awesome.
He's great. So, okay. What's next?
Harith Narala writes, "Hey guys, I'm a huge fan of the show. My question is regarding the box office for the Warcraft film. Since WB moved the release for Batman vs. Superman to March 25th, 2016, is the Warcraft movie in trouble? I know Warcraft comes out 2 weeks before B vs. S, but how will the box office be affected? Also, will the Warcraft movie be overshadowed by the marketing of B vs. S and Episode 7, and will Warcraft move its date again? Thanks."
It's a very interesting question, and I think the reason it's so interesting to me is because that it's both Warner Brothers.
Warcraft is.
I thought.
It's legendary.
Oh, is it
now,
legendary?
so
Right,
it's
so they
going
moved
through
it to Universal,
Universal.
right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Right.
so then it does. Then it's not. Then it doesn't affect me as much. That's right, because I always forget legendary.
Yeah.
Because 2 weeks beforehand, in the market, what we're doing now, there's so much content, and with the news that DC has all these movies coming out, and then Marvel. And Don, you and I were talking about this off air. How many superhero movies in general we're getting, right? There's so much content. The Batman v Superman coming out in March is essentially, and even Warcraft, is essentially starting the summer movie season in March.
Yeah.
This year, Captain America started it in April. And so you're getting it to where it's going to, the big movies are going to start peppering in February, March, because there's so much of it. So I think that 2 weeks ahead, that gives you enough time if you can get. And I love Duncan Jones. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in that film. And I think that they market it the right way, and they get it to the audience the right way. I don't think it'll have that much of an effect. But Don, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I admire the viewer's concern about this. He's obviously a big Warcraft fan and wants the film to do well. But I think that you could apply the same question to any blockbusters that coming out close together. Godzilla coming out a week before X-Men: Days of Future Past, or last year Man of Steel, whatever came out the week before Man of Steel, anything like that. That's something that just is unavoidable. The films are going to come out close to each other. I think Warcraft has some of the challenges that any other video game-based movie has had, which mean, in other words, there haven't really been any big hit video game-based movies except for the Resident Evil films.
If you want to count the first Mortal Kombat.
Okay, and the first Mortal Kombat, ish, yeah. So there's that challenge going into it, and so I think that this is. I don't think Batman versus Superman will affect it as much as just the challenge of getting the movie out there and marketing it the right way and making sure it hits the right audience.
And I'm super interested to
agree.
see what the fans are thinking out there too. So make sure in the chat board, and if you're watching this later on, comment and let us know. But Alicia, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with you, Don. I don't think it'll affect the box office for Warcraft, having Batman versus Superman 2 weeks later, but it'll be interesting to see how Warcraft does. I know it has mass appeal, a lot of people play the game. I'm interested in Duncan Jones and seeing what he does with it, but I think I'm really interested in how it does, and in how it does in March too, because I think that'll be fascinating if that does really well, March 11, and then Batman versus Superman does really well 2 weeks later. Soon we'll get February blockbusters, January blockbusters.
Well, who knows?
All year round?
I kind of hope so for January, because right now, if you don't know, January is the toilet bowl of movie season.
It is.
It
It's
really
the
is.
worst.
Like, it's garbage. They just put everything, because there's no marketing behind it. It's just like,
They cram the
where do
Oscar
we put
movies
this?
in.
Yeah.
Cram the Oscar movies in November, December. There's so many great ones all at once,
Right.
and then
Right.
nothing.
Because there's a certain amount of money marketing-wise that the studios are going to spend, and they're just like, well, this one, put it in January. February, you'll get maybe one or two, maybe will slip
we
through.
got
That'll
Lego
be okay.
movie, which was good.
Lego, like one or two could slip in there, and then
Yeah.
you get the smaller films that could pop in. But March is usually when you'll probably get a few more good ones, like the Raid 2 came out this year, and a few more, and then it starts to get good from there. But I do think we're going to start to see a trend. I really do. I think that because of this, and this might be the one that starts it, I think February you'll start to see stuff,
Yeah.
and maybe in January. I don't know.
Year-long summer.
Yeah, it's going to be, the seasons, you can't even call it the summer season anymore. You have to call it something else. But okay, now it is time for live questions. You guys have been tweeting stuff in. Ashley's been getting them. She's going to read them out to us, and we'll take a bunch right now. We still got some time.
Alrighty, Vicky V writes, if you had to be any movie character and that was your life forever, who would you be?
Oh, that's a good one.
Man,
Good one.
if it's so fresh in my mind at this point, I probably would take Star-Lord just right now. If I could take it today, just because of the adventures he's just been going on, and not spoiling and everything too, but what he's discovering, his friends that he's meeting, the planets he goes to. Yeah, I mean, for now, just because that's what's fresh in my head, it could change by the time this show's over. But Alicia?
I always love Hildy Johnson and His Girl Friday. You know, I love my classic movies, and she's sassy and smart and a reporter, and I loved her zingers. I know it would be a lot harder living back then if I had to live like this forever, but I love her, and I love her style too. She's cool.
Don?
James Bond.
Nice.
Yay!
Just because he just always seems so completely in control of the situation and knows exactly what he's doing and has no fear. And since I have none of those attributes, I'd love to have him.
I would like to be Gary Busey from the movie Point Break. So
Two. Give me two.
2 meatballs, Utah.
Utah, two.
All right, what's the next one?
All right, Captain Tight Pants writes,
You love Captain Tight
I know,
Pants.
right? What is the one movie you are embarrassed to like?
Oh, I thought of one that I just saw again the other day. Spice World.
Oh, man.
I love Spice World.
Wow.
It's the best. It's so campy and ridiculous, and the cameos are awesome. I love the Spice Girls. I love their music. It's so over the top, but so much fun to watch. And Showgirls.
I mean, I don't know if I'll say embarrassed, but I mean, when people, I will defend that I think The Notebook is a really good movie.
Yeah,
I will.
I
mean,
agree.
the fact that if someone's like, you like Nicholas Sparks? Not necessarily, but like what Cassavetes did with Notebook, and the pairing between those two is really good. And when my wife watches it, I might come in from the room and sit down and watch it with her. So, is that done?
This is a tough one. For some reason, The Bridges of Madison County comes into mind, and it's a good film. I like it, and I guess it's not a movie that people might think I would like, but I remember liking it very much at the time, and I guess, I don't know. I'd have to think further about this, but that's the one that came to mind off the top of my head.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ashley, got some more?
Yes. Michael Hill writes, hey guys, love the show. Has there been any more news about the next Bond movie?
Yes, there has. We actually heard, it's just kind of rumor right now, but help me out with the lead actress from Blue is the Warmest Color.
Oh, Leah Sado.
Yes, rumor that she's kind of circulating a role in that movie. I think that would be interesting. I don't know necessarily
Really
know if
cool.
she's going to be a Bond girl. I'd probably not. I probably think she'd probably be on the Bond side, helping him out.
I'd love to see her as a villain.
That'd be
I
kinda
think
cool.
she would be awesome.
She could be the sacrificial Bond girl. You know, there's always two,
Yeah.
and the first one usually gets it. And then
Maybe, but you know, with everything that she's got going on and all the buzz behind her, that they might want to give her a little bit more to do. That's not to say that that couldn't happen with she has a pretty juicy role, and then. But yeah, that could be fun. That's all I've heard really so far on that. But I know it's going as planned.
They are rewriting the script
Okay.
too. That I saw that popped up in the news maybe last week, and I can't think. Whoever wrote the script, the guys who are kind of their go-to guys to fix the script,
Yeah.
they've called them in again to work on this one, and apparently to do maybe a substantial rewrite. And I don't think that's necessarily like a panic situation. I think they tend to rewrite every Bond script that comes along,
Yeah.
at one point or another. But that was one thing I'd heard, that they were working on a new version of the script.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, me
I haven't
too.
heard anything else, but I'm just looking forward to it.
Oh, and I'm
too.
actually playing. Going
You are
back, I
playing
said I
Bond.
am playing
Okay,
Bond.
that was the reveal.
Very
That was
cool.
scoop broken.
Can I be a villain then?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Perfect. See, we just cast.
I'll
the
call
whole
the
movie.
Broccoli's.
Okay, we'll take two more. Ashley.
Alrighty, Daniel writes, should there be an Oscar category that awards a best ensemble cast?
I think they kind of do it at Golden Globes, don't
Yeah,
they?
and do it at SAGs as well.
Yeah, it's SAG. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to see it for the Oscar. I still want to see them. They need to focus on performance capture and all that stuff first before they focus on ensemble. But no, I don't think they need to see ensemble done.
I was going to say exactly what you said. I'd much rather see them address the performance capture issue because, especially in light of what Andy Serkis has accomplished
And Toby Kebbell
this
this
year,
year,
and
too.
Toby
Yeah.
Kebbell, for that matter, in Dawn, and everything that Andy and some other people have
Yeah.
accomplished. But it's really come to a head this year, and I think they need to address that much more before they address an ensemble.
Yeah, I agree. It needs to be figured out in a way that both the visual effects and the actors
Right.
can get awarded together.
Yeah, I agree. You have to figure it out both because that's the biggest argument behind it is how much of the actor goes into it, how much of the
They're a team. They
they're
work
a team,
well
and I
together.
think that it's kind of messy right now. So I'd like to see that figured out. All right, let's take one more.
All right, Kyle Carragher writes, did you like the first School of Rock movie? And if so, would you have liked to seen a sequel?
I loved the first School
cute.
of Rock movie. I think they're doing a TV show out of it now, and I was a bit bummed because when I heard the news, I thought they were going to announce a sequel. That's a movie to me very similar to the Galaxy Quest before that I don't think people were necessarily looking for a sequel, but I would have been one of those people similar to someone who's going to be looking forward to Galaxy 2 waiting for that movie because I thought that was the first movie to me where I saw Jack Black in that light of yes, I can play silly and goofy, but I can play in a movie with heart. So I really enjoyed that film. I'd love to see a second one.
I don't think I'd care about a second one, but I really love that one.
Yeah.
As it is, a complete movie. Jack Black was great. It was really sweet, very touching,
Yeah.
as you said, a lot of heart, and some great music too. Are you
Yeah.
ready to rock?
That's it.
Yeah, I love the first one. I wasn't looking for a sequel. If they could tell a good story, okay, sure. It's a little more timeless, I think, than Galaxy Quest. It's a little more relatable now to more modern audiences, so maybe.
Yeah.
They just had the anniversary recently, I think.
Yeah, it was
and
94. Yeah.
They showed a lot
I mean,
of the
2004.
cast and how they'd all grown up, all
Oh,
the
really?
kids.
All
It
the
was
kids?
cool.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I
cool.
love seeing that stuff.
All right, that's it. We're done. We're a wrap. And Don is now cast as Bond. So that's the entire show. Thank you so much for joining us. And make sure you check us out here every day, 11 a.m. PST on this very here channel. I am Christian Harloff, and next to me on my right is the lovely Alicia Malone. Alicia, where can the good people find you?
I am quite lovely.
You are.
On Twitter and Instagram, at Alicia Malone.
And joining me also on my right, very nice to have you here once again, Don Kay. Don, where can the AMC peeps find you?
On Twitter, DONKAYE, at Don K on Twitter.
And Ashley Mova, the Movinator. Mova, where can they get you?
Twitter, Instagram, at Ashley Mova. Happy Friday, guys.
Oh,
It's dance time.
That's
Yeah,
right. And
that's
me,
right.
I'm Christian Harloff. Like I said, Instagram is at Christian Harloff as well as Twitter. Thank you for joining us. The Campia will be back on Monday. Do not fret. He's back. He's ready. And it's like he's like Drax the Destroyer. He's getting ready to come back. So thank you guys once again. Not going to do the point. You might as well do it again.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.